Listen to the leader of the free world. He's gonna crunch some numbers for you. Do a little bit of simple math.
Billions of gallons of gasoline. I mean, billions of I think it's $2.3 billion worth of, $500 billion
Wow.
in savings and 2 point something billion metric tons of CO2 going in the air. Well, folks, eliminate one tax loophole out of $1,600,000,000,000 worth, $1,400,000,000,000 worth. Out of $1,400,000,000,000. It's hard to even say it, it's so much. And by the way, it costs a lot of money. It cost about $740 billion over 10 years. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Has the puppet show ever been more apparent than it is now? The circus on a string. Humanity is basically burying itself. The one needed for protection, the other one is a mind control device. We need a new crisis. Around in circles we go. Where we'll stop, we'll never know.
Is the first in the world to be diagnosed with climate change. A senior citizen from Nelson in British Columbia suffered from breathing trouble and was said to be suffering due to the effects of climate change. Doctors said heat waves and poor air quality were responsible for her condition. Dr. Kyle Merritt was responsible for the diagnosis, which is reportedly the first ever to document a patient as suffering due to climate change.
If you believe climate change is really out here killing people, something is really wrong with you.
Pick your poison, says the used car dealers. Let me see. It will be released in 75 years? That sounds right. Cows in Meadowland. Don't worry, it's just a choice. We're not going to force you to do anything. As we go 1984, Brave New World. Our new leaders, the controllers of the narrative. If you don't have a basic understanding of your own biology, how are you going to understand health? The poor children. Poor children.
She is reading a story.
How is this okay?
All these kids sitting outside in hats and coats and gloves. It is 24 degrees outside. 24 degrees.
You might want to take your kids out of school.
Unacceptable.
This is a form of child abuse. The Nazis had a phrase that covered all abuses by the state. It was called "for your safety." I think that they loaned the playbook to the American government. Because our government loves us, don't you know? When the government's boot is on your throat, whether it is a left boot or a right boot, is of absolutely no consequence. People still stuck in the left-right divide. It's another divide and conquer strategy. 2022 goals: surviving mass murder by, you guessed it, government. And this is happening even in my area. Why it's happening? I don't know. There's a new disease out there called AIDS. We got as many as we can. Now turn on the 5. Something very strange going on with the birds. Many pictures of like this out there.
Light. Let's see what's inside. Uh-oh. Apparently, this is
That's
an
a direct
LED
energy
5G
weapon.
street light.
Very comforting.
It's pretty neat.
This is a social credit score. Looks great. What they're doing here looks like fumigating a building. They'll be seeing this on the streets in America within a few months. You probably get paid $12 an hour for that. And around in circles we go. These are the people calling me a conspiracy theorist. And it's all about control.
How you hold your head
Another
up
very
on your own,
strange
boy?
thing going on. Does this kid look human to
In the
you?
world?
Looks very, very strange. Now, I don't know what would make this
Bro,
happen.
just came out the womb,
What if
already
we
know how to
introduce
move.
new into the population
How to move his head.
that would start
How old are you?
making children do this?
24 hours yet.
I find this very, very alarming, Very scary. And of course, nobody talking about it.
Man.